Hello besties, today's Tumbler tutorial will be painting with alcohol inks. But before then, let me welcome you to our YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us under Misfit Makers on all our social media platforms. And don't forget to click that subscribe button before you leave. Also, check out our website and our Patreon. Okay, so let's get started. I'm using a wine tumbler, but you can use whatever tumbler size that you desire. I'm going to start off with a nice base paint, a coat of paint using Pop of Color in the color, I believe, Mint. And we're just going to do a nice coat here. Let it completely dry before we go in with our UV resin to adhere our glitter. After your paint is nice and dry, then we're ready for glitter. So I brought out Blimmy and Dewy Frost, but I went with Blimmy. And I also have my UV resin from CCDIY and my UV lamp from CCDIY. We're going to be using UV to adhere our glitter. So we're going to do a nice thin coat of UV resin. Not a lot, just enough to completely cover it. And then we're going to use that to adhere our glitter. As you see, this glitter mix is chunky. So before you cure it, you want to make sure you get some wax paper and pat down all those spiky pieces of chunky glitter that didn't lay down. So I didn't show that part, but I have plenty of tutorials that show that. So after that, then we're going to cure it. And then we're going to put one coat of CCDIY's epoxy. Look at this. CCDIY's Fast Set, because y'all know that's my favorite. So we're going to sand it lightly before we start our alcohol ink process. Okay, so now that we've sanded it, cleaned it off, this is the fun part. And I promise you it's not as hard as it looks. It's really just doodling. And if things go bad, then use some alcohol to wipe it down or sand it down a little bit or just layer it. That's the beauty of alcohol inks. You can layer it and get the color and the dimension that you want. The alcohol inks that I'm using is a combination of like Tim Holtz, Pinata brand, and some other odds and ends, just different shades of green. I wanted to kind of go like a cactus, succulent kind of vibes, more like deserty vibes instead of like floral spring vibes. I don't know. I was just going with the flow, okay? I wanted to try something different. So as you see here, now I'm moving over to my florals, which look like just lumps. I promise you, once you do like the line work, that's when everything comes to life. So I am going to slowly make my way around the tumbler and just kind of doodle, add little flowers, add more dimension. Later on, you'll see that I will grab some more green and do like little lines, because as your layers of ink dry, then you can add more to it. You can usually wipe down any boo-boos as long as you do it right away. If you let this cure, then it will be hard to clean off. So here I am adding dimension. Once I'm done with this part, then I will epoxy it one more time. I put a thin coat of epoxy because that way it like seals and protects all my ink work, and then I can get ready for the line work. I hope that makes sense. That way, like I said, that way you're not worried about smearing anything. Oh my gosh, I did a little switcheroo here. You know, in our Patreon, we teach the cup twice. So we record one and we teach one. So I was kind of bouncing from one to another. That's why this one is yellow, but I promise you it's the same process. But I wanted to show you guys the line work. So after I have a thin coat of epoxy over my inks to protect it, then I'm going in with my favorite paint pens. You can use acrylic markers or the oil base, whatever it is. I prefer it to be very fine tip point, you guys got very fine tips. Because I like to do all the little details here. So this is the easiest part. The whole thing is easy. I just trust the process. So it's just little doodles, just little lines, little spikes, little dots, little spokes, little flowers. So I did the cactus first. Did you know succulents? Cactus are succulents, but not all succulents are cactus, or something like that. I had to go research it. But anyway, so here I am just kind of doodling. I use white, but you can use black, silver, gold, really anything. I really like how the white popped on the alcohol ink. So as you see here, it is just a series of little squiggly lines. I like to add like little dots of gold and white just to kind of give it some dimension, to give it a little bit more. But this is what it looks like. After your paint or your paint pen has dried, then you want to go ahead and give it its last coat of epoxy. Of course, I'm using CC DIY's Artist Resin as my last and final coat. I'm going to coat both of them, torch them, and then they will be done after they're cured. Okay, now let's take a moment of appreciation here. Look at how the glitter shines through the alcohol inks. This is why I love coloring or painting with alcohol inks as opposed to paints. The paints are opaque and will not let the glitter shine through, but the alcohol inks do, so the sparkle is real. So look how pretty. I hope this inspired you to paint with alcohol inks. Thank you so much for all our supporters. Thank you for watching. And thank you, of course, for subscribing. And if you have any questions, make sure to let us know in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.